You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cricket Podcast for more IPL, Indian Premier League action. That's what we're doing today. It's Friday. That means it's Questions Day, which is good because there's not really a lot of cricket to talk about. We were on a good run, Max. I will say this: we were on a really good run of games until the last couple of days. But we'll get through them. You know,
it's yin and yang, isn't it?
You can't always have what you want. Some people never get what they want.
It's like the famous Christmas song by Wizard, isn't it? I wish it could be Christmas every day. You don't, because then the magic of Christmas becomes meaningless. Just like a high-scoring thriller and chase and final ball win becomes meaningless if it happens every day. So you need 3 duds in a row to make up for it.
Do you think that is true?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Too much of a good thing.
Too much of a good thing. I don't know, because there are some things where I could do that every day, I think. Christmas, for example, I think if Christmas was... The problem with Christmas is that if you just stacked Christmas upon Christmas, it's actually, I think, the heartburn and the hangovers that would become a problem.
Yeah, and possibly spending time with family members that...
Well, I think he's not here, and he probably won't listen to this. I don't have Ross's family. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I like my family. But then
Cool.
again, as much as I love my family,
Right.
I still think consecutive Christmases would be a problem.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we have 3 games to talk about. And we'll try our best to get through them, won't we? We've got Royal Challengers Bangalore winning. They're winning a game, and they're back in the hunt. We've got Delhi winning. Are they back in the hunt? No, but they've won, haven't they? They have won. Yeah, they beat KKR. And then we had Sunrisers turn in another disappointing performance there as they were strangled by Chennai Super Kings at the Chepauk. Which order do we want to talk about these games in, Max?
Shall we do the most recent one now?
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that first.
Yeah. So CSK back at home, Sunrisers. They're in a spot of bother, weren't they? Sort of results-wise, needed to pick up a win. So needed to make a statement performance today. They picked probably what's their arguably their strongest 11 going into it. And they failed too. They got Chepauked, didn't they? Basically, they got Chepauked. They started okay. Then Harry Brook got out. We didn't see Mayank Agarwal. We wondered when he would come in. He ended up coming in at number 6. No one really did anything apart from Abhishek Sharma, and they crumpled to 134, which never looked like being enough. And so it proved, because Chennai Super Kings started really fast, and even the fact that they slowed down in the middle didn't matter. And they won easily, and bleed yellow.
Yeah, are you happy with what happened?
I mean, it's a great result, isn't it? It's the only thing you could say from a Chennai point of view is that maybe they could have boosted the net run rate a bit, but that's picking holes, isn't it? Because ultimately, it was a good performance. But it's when you have the opportunity to chase something down like that in like 15 overs and really give yourself a net run rate boost, you should probably try and take that
opportunity. Yeah, I mean, like I think if you were being critical of CSK, I would agree with that. The win is the most important thing, and to be honest, like their record 4-2 now. Yeah. I think maybe it was this time last week when we were saying that Chennai have got a really good chance. They've got a very, very good chance now. I mean, they've got to be with the run of fixtures they've got to come as well. I think they're almost as strong a favourites as Rajasthan, I would say, to make the playoffs at this point.
Well, when you consider the home advantage that we spoke about last time, about how Rajasthan perhaps don't do so well at home.
Yeah.
So possibly even more so.
Yeah, so it's looking pretty rosy for Chennai. There are a few flashpoints in the game. Should we talk about Jadeja? Like, 1, his performance, and 2, his fight with Klaassen.
Yeah.
What did you make of... In a fight between Heinrich Klaassen and Jadeja, Queensbury rules, who wins?
Queensbury rules. I think Klaassen wins.
I think Klaassen wins a punch-up as well. Unfortunately,
but if it's not Queensberry rules, I reckon Jadeja's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Well, I think like if it's got anything to do with cricket, I think Jadeja wins it as well. He did bowl pretty well, didn't he? I think he picked up his 9th wicket of the IPL today.
Yeah, Ross's purple cap shout suddenly looking less insane.
I still
even though it remains insane.
It's still quite insane, but he's having a pretty good season with the ball, isn't he, Jadeja?
Yeah, and it was a classic Jadeja performance in the sense of how he gets through things so quickly. Before you know it, you're under so much pressure just because of the speed with which he gets through his balls, hits the areas, and yeah, before you know it, he's bowled 2 overs, gone for nothing, and you're wondering where you go from there. The panic sort of sets in, and then Mike Agarwal randomly walks down the wicket at him and gets himself stumped.
Yeah,
to put the icing on the cake.
It was. I mean, in a way, Jadeja's performance today is kind of Chennai's game plan distilled down into its the ambergris, if you like, of Chennai Super Kings.
A nugget of pure yellow.
Exactly. That is exactly what he is. He is a nugget of pure yellow. I think it's quite nice to see him having a good season. We haven't spoken about him a lot. Usually Jadeja's sort of one of your main IPL characters for one reason or another. But this year, coming back into the side, obviously he had the captaincy, then it was basically taken away from him. He resigned. Then he said he was going to quit CSK in what he all but said. They managed to stop him from doing that, and it is good to see him like turn up and play. Like he could have sulked, so fair play, I think, to Jadeja for that. With the bat as well, Devon Conway, another decent score and another 35 for Ruturaj Gaikwad. That opening pair have really laid some good foundations, haven't they, through this tournament? I mean, if you want to look at what Chennai Super Kings have done well, runs at the top of the order and finger spin. Like they're right at the front of the pack, aren't they? In both of those areas, and they're really important for Chepauk. Those two things.
Yeah, it's exactly what Chennai are set up to do at home, and exactly what we expected them to do. The one thing that's made a difference, I think, in terms of them being 4-2, perhaps rather than 3-3, when you think about what we thought about them before the season, is 100% Ajinkya Rahane. Like, it didn't happen today, sure, but the performance that he's put in this season, which are far apart from anything we would have expected based on his past exploits in the IPL, have just lifted that top order to a level where not only do they have the ability to dominate at home, they've now got an acceleration, and they're able to put runs on the board quickly, and then have people like Dhoni and Moeen Ali come in at the end and biff a few sixes. So they're starting to look like quite a nice side if Rahane can keep it up. If it's not just a flash in the pan. I
mean, I wouldn't say he's been an unsung hero so far. We've talked about him a little bit, and it's certainly registered on people's radars that Rahane's been good. But I think
the unexpected.
Yeah, it's the unexpectedness, and he's covered a little bit of a weakness with Rayudu and Moeen Ali not having done that much this season. He's covered a little bit of a weakness in that middle order. And Dubé had his game, didn't he? But he's no great shakes, to be honest. So I think Rahane's been pretty important. Anyway, CSK, I think they're looking pretty strong. I will say this. Most boring team to watch in the IPL. Now, if you're a CSK fan...
It wasn't an enjoyable watch this afternoon.
If you are a CSK fan...
I'm glad I had quite a lot of work to do this afternoon.
If you are a CSK fan, like you probably don't care. You probably kind of enjoy the way that they go about their victories, the suffocation stuff. But it can be quite hard work if you're watching as a neutral. I mean, even the batting, you're talking about them not taking the opportunity to win on net run rate. I mean, they bat all the way down the order. Like Dubé, Jadeja, Dhoni. We didn't see any of these guys today. And it took them 18.4 overs. They hit 1-6. I'm just asking for a little bit of... look, it's fair enough. They're obviously playing well. They're really rising people's expectations.
It wasn't necessarily a flat deck, was it? No. It wasn't the easiest pitch to bat on. And Sunrisers were bowling a lot of spinners because that's what you do.
But for a good team, they aren't must-see TV, is what I would say. Like if you're talking about the quality teams in the IPL, of which CSK are one, I'd probably put Rajasthan and Gujarat up alongside them as the 3 best teams I think I've seen this year.
Mourinho's Chelsea.
They are the I wouldn't even say they're more like Fabio Capello's AC Milan. Like,
wow,
really, like
1-0
1-0 specialists, yeah.
Yeah.
Or 1-0 to the Arsenal early 90s. Was that Charlie?
George Graham.
Charlie George or someone else. Yeah, George Graham. You know what I mean. But with Rajasthan, they're like all singing, all dancing. There's a lot going on there. They're an exciting team, and Gujarat a little bit more mercurial, but there are some big players that you want to watch. Only criticism I've got of them. Like, otherwise, it was pretty good. Sunrisers, on the other hand, you said they played their best 11. I feel like I'm not actually even sure they did.
I mean, arguably.
What's the point in having? Isn't the point in having Adil Rashid that you can use him for pitches like this? And like Marco Janssen, I understand is a good bowler, and I understand has been taking power play wickets for them. But like, as we were saying on the last show, between Rajasthan and Lucknow, cricket is a conditions game. You have to play the conditions, and being the master of the conditions on the day is actually the route to victory.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the 11 they set up
on paper, perhaps.
Yes, yeah. No, I feel like that's the 11 you might want to play in most games. But I don't think it was the 11 that they wanted to play today.
Yeah, it's just weird because it's sort of the first time they've actually done it, and they did it in the wrong place.
You could see this coming from a mile away that they would play kind of this 11. What you couldn't necessarily see is another change at the top of the order with Abhishek Sharma scooting up to open with Brook, and Agarwal dropping all the way down to 6th in the batting card. All just a bit weird. I mean, like 150 would have been a good score on this pitch, I think, and they never threatened it.
It speaks to sort of a bit of confusion, I think, about what they're trying to do. But it's I mean, it's not I'm not necessarily against the idea. I mean, obviously they started. I can't remember who they opened to start the season. It might have been Tripathi and Agarwal in the first game. I actually can't. I think
so. I think so. Could have been Abhishek.
Which was already a change because Abhishek had opened pretty much every game the previous year and had actually been quite good.
Yeah, he got 400 runs at 130. Yeah. It's not an amazing strike rate, but it's decent.
But for the season that Sunrisers had last year, it was pretty decent. Then Harry Brook moving up to the top of the order completely makes sense because of the trouble it had starting against spin in the first 2 games, and it almost immediately paid dividends with the 100, so you can see that. But then obviously he wasn't bought for that role. Agarwal's there for that role, and they already had Abhishek and maybe Tripathi. So then you're sort of in that situation where you've got 4 people who can open, or you might want to open, and then it messes up your middle order. So I don't think that's necessarily a thing. Their fault of putting the team together. I think it's just sort of how it's happened with, Harry Brook's new to the IPL and isn't there yet. Agarwal's continued his form from Punjab rather than going back to what he'd been beforehand. And that's where sort of the problems have crept in for them. And I think they shot themselves in the foot earlier at the start of the season. I mean, I don't think this game doesn't sort of highlight problem. This isn't necessarily the symptom of their problems. It's just a game that's gone wrong. But the problem for them is that they had, the first game they were missing a few players and they played a good side and got beaten soundly. We can write that one off. But then you got the Lucknow game where they were woeful, but also just like randomly picked a guy who couldn't keep wicket for no apparent reason, and that didn't go so well. And then they played Mumbai and basically shat the bed and should have won that game and didn't. And when you do that, when you've only got 14 games to play with, you're in trouble. So I don't think today is necessarily the peak of the problems. It's just what's come before it has led to it, and it's bad.
I think
it's not like throw everything out and start again. It's just think a bit more about what you're trying to do.
I think there is definitely the sense on the batting side that and maybe on the bowling side too, actually, that they are a team in development. They don't really know what they want to be yet. And I think when you looked at the transformation in terms of playing personnel from last year, it looked quite optimistic. But they've obviously all turned up, and as you say, they've 4 openers into 2 doesn't go. Problem for Punjab Kings last year. It seems to be a problem for Sunrisers this year. Yeah. And then the bowling, they've chopped and changed that a bit. I don't think they really are using Imran Malik particularly well yet. They've got the Janssen Adil Rashid duo and have picked them in kind of the wrong games.
Yeah, we haven't even seen Akil Hussain.
Natarajan
still there?
Natarajan sprayed it all over the place, which isn't ideal. And Bhuvi looks. He'll actually. I mean, we're not criticised Bhuvi too much. He's been okay, but not been amazing. Let's say.
Yeah.
I think the two things. I mean, like it was pointed out in our Discord, which you can join if you want to be a Patreon. Patreon.com/the Cricket Pod. Perfect time for a plug there. £5 a month, you get a bunch of stuff, including being a Discord member. It was pointed out, I think, by Kartik in the Discord that by Brook going up the order, that destabilises Agarwal because he doesn't know what his role is, and it also means they don't have somebody who is a specialist number 4 or 5, which is what Brook was kind of supposed to do. Now, I think Brook going up the order was a requirement because he's much better there, and the weakness against spin was going to be a problem.
Yeah, it's completely logical.
Also, like they weren't setting anything on fire, or they hadn't pulled up any trees in the power play, and Brook has, in all 3 of the games he's opened the batting, like he didn't go on and score loads of runs today, but 18 off 12 is an okay contribution. Like that's pass marks. That's like a 6 out of 10 performance. And he's got 100 there, which is obviously good. So that the change has worked, but it has this knock-on effect for Agarwal. The other thing I think on Agarwal, and this is just a theory for now, but I wonder whether Agarwal's past his best. He's 32. If you look at his career in the IPL, he wasn't amazing for quite a long time. Then he had a big peak, and now he has gone back to a level more, like kind of similar to how he was, say, 6 or 7 years ago. He is 32. It's not super old for a cricketer, but it's also past the peak performance you see for most batters. Now, I don't know. Is Agarwal like a top tier talent? Because those guys, they cloud our judgment a little bit. Like Kohli, obviously, as one of the gods of cricket, to take him as an example, he's in his 30s, still going strong. Faf, Rohit. But these are guys.
Isn't Shikhar Dhawan like 37 or something?
Even Dhawan, though, the guys who dominated international cricket, scored a lot of runs for many, many years. Agarwal doesn't necessarily have that cachet, if you like. So I wonder whether it's actually just like him getting a bit old. But Sunrisers, look, it's difficult for them to come back now. 2 and 4. Yeah. They're 1 loss to Delhi Capitals away from being in the basement. Like it's going to be really hard for them to come back. Stranger things have happened, but it doesn't look good. Right, Max.
Was it last year or a year before where Punjab basically won 6 in a row and nearly got into it? I mean, it could happen.
It wasn't last year. It might have been a little while ago, because I think the 2 matches Punjab won at the beginning of this year were the first time in 2 seasons where they'd won 2 matches.
Won 2 in a row.
Yeah. So we are going to take a break. Before we do that, I'm going to mention Serious Cricket, seriouscricket.co.uk for all of your cricket equipment needs. Use the code TCP23 for 10% off there. Get yourself some, I don't know, batting shorts. Are you a batting shorts guy or a thigh pad, like straps guy?
I've got the thigh pad, but like the double thigh pad where you tie it around your. I don't know what the name for that is.
I'm not sure either. But there is the arrows or something like that. I've got the shorts. Get yourself a bat, really. I mean, that's what it's for, isn't it? It's the beginning of the cricket season. This is mainly targeted at our English listeners. Yeah. It's rained a lot. We were supposed to play tomorrow. Rained off. You have got time to get your bat and knock it in for like 2 weekends' time when it finally dries out in this country.
Fingers crossed.
And you'll get a golden duck because you haven't practiced. But you'll have a nice new bat. TCP.
Yeah, and you won't have ruined the lovely blade with any red marks. So.
23 at seriouscricket.co.uk. And if you're watching on YouTube, we've got an okay crowd in, considering the game was a bit of a dud. Hit like, hit subscribe. Spotify, iTunes, all of those places. We're available across the internet. Make sure, we haven't said this for a while, be a multi-format hero.
Yeah, cross-format.
Be what Shubman Gill and Harry Brook are trying to be. Guys who can dominate in all formats. Get on the audio, get on the YouTube, get on our Substack, our Twitter, @TheCricketPod. Enough plugging. We're going to hit the break button and come back to talk about the other two games.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Cricket Podcast. We've got two games and then question corner to do on this episode. So if you're watching live, think about your question. We'll tell you when we want them. But we've got some on Twitter, and you can pick them up there. Alexander Hind in the chat, Max, has said it's going to snow in Aberdeen tomorrow. Not sure it's the weather for cricket. But that's what I'm saying. No. It is the weather for staying inside and hammering a bat, though.
Yeah.
Or outside, that constant motion, you work up a nice sweat.
As long as it's not raining.
Yeah.
Well, would you knock your batting in the rain?
Don't knock your batting in the rain.
Or snow.
That is a good tip. Should we go chronological order? Because I think we can get through the KKR Delhi game pretty quickly.
Yeah, let's do that.
Right, here's what happened. KKR batted first, and they were pretty bad. That's been kind, to be honest.
Yeah.
They had 3 players score above 10. Were bowled out for 127. Jason Roy gets 43 off 39. That makes him look like Donald Bradman. And it should have been an absolute cakewalk, especially because Dave Warner turned up and pounding the ball all over the place. Still not hit a 6, but at least this innings showed, a little bit of the old bull.
Yeah.
He ends up with 57 off 41. But that kind of masks how much of a shambles this ended up being for Delhi. They win by 4 wickets with only 4 balls remaining. They're off the mark, but in a way, I think they're even worse now than before they started the game.
Yeah. Like at the change of innings, I jokingly said in the Discord, looking forward to seeing how Delhi Capitals managed to lose this one. And after like 7 overs, that was never on the cards. And what followed astounded me. It shocked me to my core about how inept and just stupid an entire team of adults could be. It was unbelievably bad. I don't know what they were doing. What was going on? Sure, right. The pitch was tricky with spin, and Chakravarti bowled nicely. Anakul Roy bowled quite well. Nitish Rana at one point turned into Ravi Ashwin when he got Aman Khan. That was a hell of a ball. I don't know
what happened to Soyesh? Why wasn't he playing? Anyway, carry on.
Maybe he was probably going to come in he was probably going to come in as the impact sub, I reckon, rather than Anakul Roy. But then they brought in Roy because allegedly he can bat, and then he got a golden duck. That was a glorious moment for the impact sub rule. But yeah, they actually, genuinely, if Litton Das could hold the ball in his gloves, they probably would have lost because he missed 2 stumpings.
Yeah,
in the space of about 5 minutes, and that. You might as well just pack up and retire if you've given yourself a head start to the point where you need I think they needed 40 or 55 or something.
Yeah.
And they ended up needing 7 off the final over. They were genuinely at risk of not chasing down 127, not because they were bowled out, but because they ran out of time.
Didn't these two, thinking back, I want to say 2 years to 2020, maybe is that 3 years ago? Didn't these two? Are these the 2 teams who played off in the semi-final, and a very similar thing happened? KKR got about 125, and it looked like it was going to be a cakewalk, and then Delhi absolutely melted down. And then I want to say, Max, Akshar Patel hit a 6. No, Ashwin hit a 6 off the last ball of the innings to salvage it for Delhi after they'd basically lost the game. Now, someone in the chat's going to remember that. But this game reminded me of that. Like it had the same kind of narrative arc, except that instead of playing off to get into the IPL final, they were playing off for basically which is the most incompetent side in the IPL. Do you want to hear something nuts, Max? Unrelated, slightly.
Always, yeah.
Kolkata Knight Riders have got a positive net run rate.
Okay.
I mean, if you want an illustration of how stupid that is as a deciding factor between teams, there you go.
They
lost 4 out of 6 matches.
Did they batter RCB? Didn't they? Was that?
Yeah, and I think
RCB completely collapsed.
To be fair to KKR, on the net run rate, they have only kind of narrowly lost / quite comprehensively lost. I mean, all of their 4 matches.
They have a positive net run rate, and they're 8th. They've lost 4 games. They're 8th.
Yeah,
and they've got a positive net run rate.
Yeah,
just to hammer that home.
It should be head to head as the decider. So that's what I got on that. I don't really know if there's anything else from this match that was particularly interesting. Look, KKR, I've said it a few times. Like I'll tell you this. I would much rather watch a KKR match than a CSK match because they are, as individual cricket matches, they're kind of masterpieces. Like I don't know. There are certain people in the history of cinema that have had a huge impact on subsequent filmmakers. For some people, like Ennio Morricone would be this person. The guy, he made the trilogy, the good, the bad, and the ugly, for a fistful of dollars. Once Upon a Time in the West, Once Upon a Time in America. They're like epic films, and they're beautifully made and scored. And it's not Morricone. That's the guy who did the soundtrack. Anyway, I'm not going to get too. I'm not going to go. Sergio Leone. That's what I'm thinking of. They're epic, yeah, they are really good films, but they can be quite tiring, and some people do find them boring. So you've got that on one end, yeah, and then you've got the films of Steven Spielberg, who may not be as influential in cinema. Maybe Spielberg's a bad person to use, but maybe he isn't, But like Indiana Jones. Is that even in this Spielberg film? I fucking know. Jaws, yeah.
Jaws, yeah.
It's a cracking movie. On a Saturday night, do you want to watch Once Upon a Time in America, or do you want to watch Jaws? Yeah. I kind of want to watch Jaws.
Or you're like James Cameron. Or just want things blowing up.
Well, do do you want some explosions? Yeah, do you want to watch do you want to watch some Avengers? Sometimes, like for a one-off thing, I appreciate what KKR are doing. They're kind of the Avengers of the IPL. Like it is, they are trash, but
there's no plot.
Yeah, but it's quite funny. It's got Iron Man, which I guess would be Andre Russell in this example. But I do know in my heart of hearts that Sergio Leone is a better filmmaker. That's where I stand on these two.
Okay, I think the analogy just about checks out.
It got there eventually.
I'll give you that one.
Right, Max, can we talk about Manscaped before we do the last game?
Yes, we can. As you know, we are supported and sponsored by the wonderful Manscaped. And as our sponsors, they're offering you lucky listeners 20% off and free shipping if you head over to manscaped.com and use the code CRICKETPOD to get all your goods. The best in below the waist male grooming, lawnmowers, not for the actual grass, nose hair trimmers, deodorant, ball toner. Boxes, a lot. You can get it all. Performance Package 4.0. Go over to manscaped.com, put the code in, CRICKETPOD, 20% off and free shipping.
Nice. In the chat, I've been told that it was the other way round. It was actually Tripathi hitting a 6 to win it off, I think, Ashwin.
Off Ashwin. Right.
Yeah, right at the end. But
the fact that you remembered that at all.
It was a great game. Like it was fantastic. And then somebody else has pointed out, just to round off this game, and I think this was a good point, that they had Umesh and Russell to bowl at the death, and they went with the new guy. Yeah. And there's actually, I did some analysis on this. Andre Russell is one of the best death bowlers to lower order batters. It was like the perfect. Yeah. He's actually one of the worst against people who are in the top 6, but lower than the top 6, he's very, very effective. And I'd have probably picked him to bowl myself. Maybe he couldn't.
It was a bit weird that they, I didn't clock that at the time. I was just I saw the new guy coming in and just thought, oh well, I assume they've just tried to take as many wickets as they could. But no, it turns out they bowled 16 overs of spin. and but yeah, weird.
Cool. Yesterday's other game, and this was a game that was decent, I think, it was between Royal Challengers Bengaluru. They're not called Bengaluru, they should be probably, shouldn't they? Bangalore and Punjab Kings. It's kind of more of the same in a way from Royal Challengers Bangalore, in that Virat and Duplessis went nuts and nobody else sort of did. I'm going to say Virat went nuts. Yeah. Virat scored runs. Faf went nuts.
Well, he did sort of go nuts for a bit.
Okay.
And then slowed down. They both did. They both went fairly nuts, slowed down at the same time, but then Virat Kohli got out and Faf du Plessis re-exploded while no one else who came in did anything. But
he's like one of those stars that gets really big and then shrinks down and then
back
then goes back out. Yeah.
We I think when we were watching it at the time, we saw this and we were like, well, that's not enough. This pitch looks good. They slowed down too much in the middle, and Punjab, I think if they had Shikhar Dhawan, I think we'd have probably given them a fairly good chance of chasing it down. But they capitulated.
Yeah,
they kingsed it, didn't they?
It was
they almost, Jitesh Sharma almost did the performance of the season.
He did. Who actually did the performance of the season, though? And I said, maybe not the performance of the whole season, but
Siraj.
Like, certainly his season. And he's probably bowler of the season. Siraj, 4 for 21.
And the run out.
And the run out. He should get that. You should get a bonus wicket for that. Obviously, he picks up Taidi. Still don't really know that one. Probably he only bats for 2 balls.
I thought 4 off 2 was a good return.
Good
Very
return
high
from him,
above what
mate.
we'd expect.
Yeah. He gets him. Then he obviously gets Livingston too, which is huge, and then comes back. Like, I don't think there was a serious risk of Punjab doing anything later in the innings, but he sort of closes the door, doesn't he? And he makes sure that there's no hijinks. Nothing RCB happened. It was a very un-RCB bowling performance. Wickets early, and then it's like, oh, can they? No. Like that was.
There was a flutter.
Yeah.
When Jitesh Sharma got going, but yeah, when he was out, that was the end of it. But yeah, my favourite Siraj wicket was Nathan Ellis, because he basically just ran away from the ball.
Yeah,
I don't fancy that. See you later.
Can't
I'm off the square leg, mate.
He's doing really, really well this year. Is Siraj, and I think he's up to his game in white ball cricket tremendously in general. I think
he was off it last year, wasn't he? In the IPL,
it was terrible.
Before that, we were talking about how he'd really come on as a T20 bowler and really improved and was looking really good. We were really excited to see him last year, and then he was crap.
Yeah, so I like the story of his career was bad, kind of average, very good, awful, very good. But even then, like even in his good year, wasn't the wicket threat that he is now. Like, I think he has the same number of wickets after a third of the number of games, if you look at the season side by side. So there's, like, as good as he might have been 2 years ago, he was nowhere near the bowler that he is now. It's super impressive from him, and he's done it bowling at the hardest venue by miles to bowl at. Like extremely, extremely difficult overs he's had to bowl, and he's top of the tree with a great economy rate. He's not even like, blagged some wickets at the death to look good. He's doing the business, and in a way, like, you've done. I mean, obviously with Faf in the orange cap smacking sixes all over the place, that kind of takes your attention, and Kohli having a little bit of resurgence as well, that maybe takes your eye off it as well. But I would say their most valuable player has been Siraj, because the rest of that bowling attack is not doing too much.
I mean, Harshal Patel's underperformed.
He's like the one guy. Yeah,
they've had to bring in Wayne Parnell for whatever reason, and the other day they were relying on a debutant to win the game for them. So it's important that they have a talisman. I mean, Hasaranga being back does help. I think he's still working his way into it, but he's getting amongst the wickets now, so that gives them a bit more in the middle. So if they can, I don't know, is Hazelwood gonna make it back, or I mean, where have they got? Can they improve in time? Can they peak towards the end?
Hazelwood is an automatic selection over Wayne Parnell. Like Wayne Parnell, there was a moment in the game when Wayne Parnell was bowling to Matt Short, and Wayne Parnell just bowled 5 half trackers at kind of not half trackers, like hip height balls to Matt Short. We didn't really do anything with any of them, and hit the last one for 6. And I was watching that, and I was thinking, this is bad. This is really bad what I'm watching.
When you've got a side, or actually one of the issues you've got is sort of your middle over batting is sort of slows down. You've got Glenn Maxwell and then DK, and around it, not a lot. I don't. David Willey seems like a perfectly reasonable option. They played him a couple of times.
The other thing
he'll do pretty much the same job as Wayne Parnell with the ball and can bat.
So I think what they're trying to do is cover some death overs, and they think Parnell, I guess, is a better option, and he probably is.
He probably is at the death.
And it was a big problem for them. And I don't necessarily mind them picking him at home. I think away from home, I'd probably want David Willey's wickets in the power play. Doesn't really matter. I think the rest of the team bowled sort of well enough. Oh, actually, you know what? Harshal Patel bowled terribly, but walks away with figures of 22 for 1, like a 6.6. He bowled, I was counting them. He bowled 8 full tosses in 20.
I was going to say it was full toss central, wasn't it?
In 20 balls. Do you remember when Don Best?
That's not a stat they put on the scorecard, but they really should.
Remember when Don Best lost the plot in India?
How could I forget when Don Best lost the plot? Poor lad.
It was actually worse than that. It's an interesting one with Harshal. I've got a theory that he has lost the release of the way he releases the ball. I think something needs to change there. But we don't get enough shots of bowlers releasing the ball to properly know that. My general idea is that the way he was bowling, say a year ago, he was getting overspin on the ball, and that meant the ball dipped. And now it's sort of sliding out with backspin, and the ball doesn't dip, and so it sort of just floats up there. Yeah. But we'll see.
Maybe. Punjab.
Cool. Yeah.
Talk about them.
They're
very up and down, aren't they?
Yeah, they are a bit up and down. I think. What are they? 3-3. I think Livingston back will eventually make a difference. Obviously, it doesn't in this match. But I think he is.
But he hasn't played for months.
That's true, but I don't know if this makes a difference. I
know. Yeah, your view pretty much is that if you're playing in the nets, that's as good as being used to it. But I don't know. I
don't think it's like football, basically.
I think there is a level at which playing games does make a difference. I don't think. Maybe rather than being 70%, maybe without being 70. In football, you might be 70% before you play a game. Maybe cricket's 85, 90. But that's still a big difference, especially at this level.
Maybe. Well, he's played one now, so he'll be at 100%. I don't know. I'm not too bullish on them, I don't think. I mean, if you look at the table, I think Rajasthan, Lucknow, CSK, and Gujarat, and this isn't always the case with the IPL, but I think probably they are the best teams. I think of the two that we saw in this match, RCB might be better than Lucknow, but Lucknow have got a game head start on RCB for what is now an 8-game season. That's quite difficult to overhaul. So I wouldn't really be stunned if that's how it finished.
The top 4 as it is. Well, I guess it depends what.
Well, I mean, actually,
tomorrow.
Statistically, that probably isn't true. One of those top 4 teams is likely to lose, 5 of their 8 matches and blow the season, basically. And one of the teams, like RCB, Mumbai, and Punjab, is likely to win 5 of 8. And swap it round, but I
can't see it being Mumbai.
It could be. It's a short season. Anyway, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we've got a load of questions. So now is your time. If you're in the chat, what you first should do is click subscribe, and then what you should do is click like, and then what you should do is type your question. So 2 minutes.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Cricket Podcast. It's Question Corner. Question Corner, does that work? I don't know. We have Analytics Corner. It can't all be corners, can they?
No.
Well, you could have a corner. We could have like a triangle.
Question Quarter.
Question Quarter, but we only have 3 shows a week.
Yeah.
Question segment.
And it's a third of the show.
Oh, yeah.
We'll work on it.
We'll
work on it.
Question Time. You know, that is already it's already a BBC show. But why can't it be? Why can't they?
And also, we don't want to associate ourselves with the people who ask questions on that. Our listeners have got much better views and are much more considered with their questions than the people who appear on Question Time. I'm sure of that.
You're right. Let's go through some questions. We're going to go through. We've got quite a few, so we're going to go through them quite quickly. Max, first one, and this is from the second time we asked questions. I think we've got about 10. Navneet asks: are teams reverting to the mean? Are we now seeing teams playing to their potential? I think there's basically a question like, is the table fair?
I think there is an element of it. I mean, that's just how it works, isn't it? That's just statistics. I think there are still a couple of teams that are out of place, though. I think Mumbai are too high.
Okay.
And I think SRH have shat the bed a bit. If you swap those two, I reckon you're not far off.
Okay, fair. Rajan says, how do Punjab fix the batting lineup?
Fix Shikhar Dhawan. Step 1.
That would be good. That's a big improvement on the other guy. If they had the player that we thought Agarwal was at the beginning of last season playing for them, that would be another way, but they don't. I think it's a little bit tricky, isn't it? I think I said Sunrisers were a bit of a project. I think Punjab are a bit of a project in the batting department as well. Like, I think there's something there with Prab Simran. There's something there with Jitesh Sharma.
Yeah.
It isn't.
They're not the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is definitely.
But they're not fully formed. They're not going to get 600 runs in a season or 450 runs in a season. They're going to fail too often to cover for some of the big gaps they've got. Shahrukh Khan, like, will he ever learn how to play leg spin? If he did, we were looking at the stats of Shahrukh Khan. If in a world of seamers, Shahrukh Khan would be king. He would be playing for India week in, week out. He's that good. But anytime anyone like bowls like under 100k, he just like, no, I'm out now. Sorry.
I think what Punjab have to do is wait till next year. I mean, because Matt Shaw is not Johnny Bairstow. No. So there's that. And they need one more Indian batter who's serviceable in the middle.
Yeah.
So they just need to find someone young, I think. Like, develop Prab Simran, develop Shahrukh Khan. Yeah, just get someone to bowl leg spin at him for 5 days in a row until he works it out or something.
I know that'll happen.
It's fine. Yeah, get looking at the smat. Find someone who is decent. I mean, there'll be loads out there. There's so much talent.
Next question from regular IPL enjoyer: should Sunrisers change captain? It's already happening. Sack the captain. We haven't had a captaincy sacking this year, have we?
Mark him out. Who are you going to replace him with? That's the question.
So I think he has suggested nobody, but that's our job, isn't it? So who could they go for?
Well, I mean, Agarwal would be like
the
one that you'd expect, but they can't do that because he's been dreadful.
Nope.
And then what have you got? You got, I mean, Tripathi. Nah. I don't
genuinely
really think so.
They could go for Bhuvi, but then there's injury questions there, so maybe they won't want to. But I think you want to. I think the
answer is no.
I think you want to go for a banker Indian starter as your captain,
unless
you've got like a superstar overseas who's a tactical genius.
So it's Tripathi.
Yeah, like Faf is getting away with it, isn't he? At RCB, like no one's saying they need an Indian captain there. Like for next season. But I think in general, you should have a look at your Indian players and be like, who's going to play 14 matches? Bhuvi. But maybe he doesn't want it. Ananda says, Brian Lara is a bad coach, man. Do you agree or not? It's not a question. I think it's just a statement.
We didn't we suggest that might be the case before the season started? I mean, how much pedigree has he got as a coach? As a successful coach,
I think his bad decisions have probably over the season cost them a match already.
Yeah,
if I'm honest. Like, is it the RCB? I think there was one game. Obviously, there's 30 matches. They blend a little bit. I think it was the RCB game where there's some really questionable calls. Was it Lucknow where they went and just had like a bazillion seamers on a?
Yeah, so Lucknow was the one where they got bowled out cheaply, and then they sent in Faruqi rather than a spinner.
Yeah, so like things like that, aren't. They're not
great, are they?
They're small mistakes at the time, but then you do that 6 times and you've given away 50 runs.
Whatever. Well, I mean, in that game, they basically gave away any chance they had of winning that game, however unlikely it was that they were going to win that game.
That's what I think about it.
Say that the 10%, the 15% they had, they turned it into 5.
That's the way to think about it, is to be like equity. Like, because of this decision, we were 50-50 at the beginning of this match. Because we chose this player over that player, or opened with these 2 guys instead of those 2 guys, did our percentage chance of winning go up or down? And I think the decisions he's made almost always are negative equity. And then you do that enough, and eventually one of those decisions...
You're trapped in a very expensive mortgage in the bank.
Like you get away with it a lot, but eventually one of them will cost you the whole match. And that's when it goes. Jacken says, I know CSK should not play Ben Stokes, but they paid 16 crore for the guy. So if he is fit, I imagine he's going to come back into the squad. Who does he replace? No, I don't think he comes back into the squad. It's my view.
No, you win. They're looking good. They're winning.
I think. So he suggested Paterana, but Paterana's now the only death bowler, and he did bowl quite well today. Paterana. I still don't think after 3 matches that I am prepared to say that a 20-year-old is good or not.
No, he's young. He's very young. But there's something there, isn't there? Obviously.
But I wouldn't replace him. I think the way he's going anyway. I wonder if Moeen would be the one who gets the chop.
Yeah,
which I don't think is a brilliant idea, but he's been he had one good game with the ball, didn't he? Basically, you don't want to make this decision. Don't do this. No,
you don't. It's not about it. If you're gonna do it, maybe a horses for courses where spin isn't so useful, but that doesn't mean bringing Ben Stokes back into the side, does it? That's us trying to find an edge case where you would pick Ben Stokes. So no, cut your losses.
Right,
it's a sunk cost fallacy, isn't it?
We've got a super chat from Shubham who says, "Huge Mumbai Indians fan, can MI make the playoffs?" You're in the no camp here, aren't you?
Well, no, I'm in the they can, and there's no way in the world it should happen, but they can.
I think they're not as bad as I thought. And I think the team that they put out in the last game, whilst not brilliant, has enough with the ball to keep themselves in the game for how good they are with the bat.
Yeah.
Like they are a very, very strong batting lineup.
They're reverse Punjab, aren't they?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. They're a very strong batting lineup. Now, what people say is that bowling wins you tournaments and batting wins you games. And I think we might have seen that in a microcosm over their last 3 matches. Like, really good moments with the bat. There was a bit of bowling in there as well. But I think, largely speaking, it's been competent batting that has banked those matches for Mumbai. But I don't think the bowling has been absolutely atrocious. In their first 2 games, it was like, what is this? Like, how are they expecting?
I think getting Riley Meredith
who was the guy?
He's fine.
Was it Arshad Khan? I was like watching him bowl. It was like, this cannot be real. Like, they found a guy who doesn't even play in the SMAT, and they're playing him in the IPL, and he's going around the park.
It was weird, wasn't it? Because they got Jai Richardson in, which I thought was not a bad shout for, I guess, what they needed, despite what they'd done with all the other recruitment in the auction. And then obviously he was injured, but it took them until after the IPL started to get Riley Meredith in, which was a bit strange. And now he's come in. That's made a difference. You got him and Behrendorff have been pretty useful. Obviously, they've still got the issues with the balance of the side to think about, but that's made a difference. Piyush Chawla has overperformed. That's made a difference with the ball as well. And if they carry on in that trajectory, then they can't make it. But I don't think they should. I don't think it would be fair on other teams.
Yeah,
that none by make it, but they can. They can do it.
I think the batting is good, and
the batting is good.
I think that cannot be ignored. We have another super chat from Alexander Hind, so thank you for that. But there was no question. So if there is a question, put that in the chat, and we'll answer that. I don't know, if it's just a fiver.
Maybe also just answering the earlier one.
Yeah. Regular IPL enjoyer. He's got 2 questions in here. This is why I did 2 question posts. So sneaky. Why is every bowler going for plenty in the Chinnaswamy apart from Siraj? Well, Siraj is doing bowling extremely well. He's bowling quick. He's getting a lot of movement on the ball.
Yeah.
It helps he bowls a lot of his overs in the power play as well, to be honest, because in general the power play has been
swing
less expensive maybe not less expensive, but it's been easier to get wickets in the power play than at the other periods. So I think it's sort of a combination of those. But I think actually how well he's bowling is part of the reason. Chakidi says, do you think Mayank will go back in the auction next season? If
it's a chance,
carries on like this, I think probably.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, isn't it?
So it's a lot of money. Like I don't know who would pay right now what they're paying him.
No. If anything, it could be to get him back cheaper.
Here's the thing with T20 cricket, though. He's 170 or 40 away from people being like, oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Like that, and that could happen tomorrow. Like Harry Brook, people couldn't wait to tell us how bad Harry Brook was. Like we were his dads or something like that. Or his agent, or we'd personally sold a dud Harry Brook to the IPL. Like, I didn't know who Harry Brook was this time last year. To be honest, I don't know who he is. And then he gets 100, and it's like, well, he's shown he can.
There you go.
Now. Whatever you say about the rest of the season.
100 in your 3rd IPL game. It's fairly good.
He could get 5 golden ducks, but you'd still be like, well, he can obviously play the level. Next question. Anarup says, what is your best 11 and impact player using one player from each team? Keeping the 4
for the
players.
whole.
That's too difficult.
League.
That is too difficult.
That sounds like a Patreon show.
Yeah, we'll try and work out how to answer that in more detail. It's a very good question. Who's your best impact sub? We had a question about who's used the impact sub best. So let's combine that.
Yeah.
Dhruv Jurel for me and Rajasthan
I was
going to
say Dhruv Jurel. I was going to say exactly the same thing. Because what they've done is they've used, when we spoke about this, was it last time or 2 shows ago? Either way, what they've done is they found out what's wrong with their team, and the impact sub is the perfect rule for them to fix it, and they've used the impact sub in the perfect way to fix it. And also, it turns out Dhruv Jurel's really good. So
yeah.
Anarup
says, is Prithvi Shaw just going through a lean patch, or is his lack of footwork causing him too many problems?
So I was watching him, was it yesterday? And it looked like every time he played a shot, the bat was turning in his hand towards the leg side. So, and normal. I don't think you'd normally associate that with. He's normally got a nice, strong, punchy action. So I don't know. Something's not right. I think there's something off.
If I was to be blunt, I'd say it's a fitness issue.
Yeah.
Like, how old is he? 24. They used him as the impact sub. That's embarrassing. He's a batter. He's not like some old bowler or something like that. He's sitting on the bench. He's coming in as a pinch hitter. He's not really even engaged in the game. And I wonder, I said like playing doesn't make a difference. I do wonder whether coming off the bench, does make a bit of a difference in the second innings. And I think Delhi have chased quite a few times. I wonder whether if you've just been fielding the whole time, then you come out first ball of the second innings, and you've literally been sat on your ass, like no preparation. You like. Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be sat on your ass. If you know you're going to come in as an impact player, you should be in the net.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of rumours about Prithvi Shaw, aren't there? But like,
he doesn't look.
He doesn't look like Faf du Plessis.
Fit. No.
And we were talking about this in the last show. Like, there is probably a reason that Faf at 37 or 38 is orange cap, and he's hitting more sixes now than he ever has before. Like,
I mean, look at him.
Yeah, like this
look at his body.
That kind of
the man's an Adonis.
Taking that kind of care of yourself impacts what you bring to the field. though. Like it's not.
Yeah,
They're not disassociated. So
it's a sport. It's elite sport.
If I was going to be honest, I think Prithvi Shaw's a very, very good player, and I think he will score runs in the future at some point. But I don't think he helps himself.
No, there's something wrong that needs fixing, but it's not like insurmountable.
Okay, last couple of questions, or last question from here, and then we've got one or two in the chat. Samir says, "Will RCB qualify this season?"
I think they've got a chance as well. I mean, obviously, they're in the blob, aren't they? It's back to the blob. Should we say? I'm going to go no, because they're RCB.
I feel like someone tweeted this to us earlier in the week. I can't remember who it was, but it was kind of like RCB are 3-3, and they're going to be kind of happy that they're 3-3, but they also could have been like 5 wins, 1 loss. Had they not just done mental things. And I feel like you can't throw away.
Lost, they lost to KKR badly.
Yeah.
That's not helped. Net run rate may come into it as well. That's not going to help that. So, I mean, they just do things that don't help themselves. Don't they?
No, and that loss to CSK where they were in a really good position with 8 overs to go against a playoff rival. That hurts. Right, anyway, to the chat. Anime fan. If CSK feign a Stokes injury, the bust of the IPL, and summon a high-paced bowler like Milne as a replacement, how much does that raise their ceiling? So what was that? Milne for Paterana would be the question, and then Stokes. Yeah. I think that would improve their chances. Like, I don't think Paterana's doing badly, but I think
they all have games where he's atrocious.
I think there are players in this league that are going to find what he's doing far less challenging than the 2 tail end teams, or the 2 sets of tail enders he's mainly bowled to in the last matches.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. Alexander Hind. So is this the chat? Let's make this a question. Who are your picks for the playoffs? That's a good one to do, and then we'll do predictions for the weekend. So, picks for the playoffs right now.
Royals.
Yeah.
CSK.
Yeah.
Lucknow.
Yeah.
And then, I just said that it's not going to be RCB, so I guess I've got to go with Gujarat, Mumbai, or Punjab. And I'm not just going to pick the top 4. So I'm going to say Mumbai are going to do it. I don't want them to, but they're going to do it.
I think that's a fair comment, and I think it's a fair process you went through. I think Mumbai have got a real chance. So I think some of these teams are in slightly in disarray, and they seem to be on an upward trajectory, which is worrying. I'm also going to say Rajasthan, and I'm also going to say Chennai Super Kings. To make things interesting, we'll say RCB are going to get in there. And I think Chennai are going to get a place over Gujarat, because I think Gujarat haven't...
You mean Lucknow?
Have I... No, I thought...
You said Chennai. Lucknow. You said CSK. You meant Lucknow first.
No, so I've got Rajasthan. I've got Chennai.
Yeah.
Okay, Lucknow then, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then RCB.
Sure.
I feel like Gujarat are a much better team than some of those others, or I think maybe the second best team in the tournament. I don't know if their home ground suits them, and I think that could be a challenge. They go through the tournament. So we will, we'll see. Someone said, and I don't know if this was a question or not, but someone said that we should talk about Chennai getting. So the semi-finals basically are going to be in Chennai, and I think that is a big advantage to Chennai. I think it's massive.
It's huge. That's huge.
So I think it's like the playoff between the top, the 3rd and 4th, and the playoff between 1st and 2nd are both going to be there. So
Chennai are in the final then.
Well, they'd have to finish in the top 2, but they should make it through to like qualifier 1 or to qualifier 2 or the eliminator or whatever it's called. Like they should have a pretty decent chance of that. I reckon. Which is nice. Right, Max, weekend games, there's 4 of them. We haven't got long, so we're going to have to be very speedy here. We start, I was going to say with Mumbai vs SRH, but that is absolutely not true, and I don't know why my computer said that.
No,
we start with Lucknow v Gujarat.
Lucknow, Gujarat.
That's tomorrow, 11 a.m. UK time.
2
teams going quite well.
Yeah. Tough one. Big game for Gujarat. They need to win that to consolidate themselves. I'm going to go Gujarat, keep it interesting.
I'm going to say Lucknow. I think Lucknow are the team that have been most creative with their home pitches.
They've been very creative.
I think
a very nice way of putting it.
I think they'll do that again, and I think that will benefit them. And they've shown that in kind of the worse the conditions get, the better that team gets. So I expect it to be a stinky game. Mumbai v Punjab is the afternoon match. I'm actually looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be quite a fun match.
Batting v bowling. This one.
Yeah. Who are you backing?
I've got to say, I said they're going to make the playoffs, so I'm going to have to back Mumbai.
I'm going to back Mumbai too.
If they're going to get to the playoffs, they've got to win this game.
Yeah, they say, but batting win games. Batting wins games. So that must mean whenever batting plays bowling,
batting wins.
Yeah, that saying then doesn't work, but. RCB v Rajasthan Royals is the morning game on Sunday, Max. Another pretty good one, this.
It is. Rajasthan of the Chinnaswamy, though.
I do feel like this probably marginally benefits Rajasthan.
Yeah.
I think the better team will win that match, and I think the better team is Rajasthan. So we're agreed on 2 out of 3. Last one, KKR v CSK. It's not Eden Gardens, I believe.
Yes, it is.
So who's going to win?
I think KKR. CSK. I think CSK will win, but it would be very much on trend for KKR to somehow win this game.
I'll take KKR then.
Go for it. I mean, I can't go against my boys, can I?
I do think CSK are a kind of average side away from home. The thing with KKR, there's really no predicting this, is there?
No, anything.
Probably, to be honest, CSK are the favourites, but any given Sunday, as Al Pacino would say. It's been quite a movie-themed pod. Max, let's wrap up the show. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. We do shows Fridays, which is today, Sundays, which is 2 days' time, Wednesdays, which is some more days after that, and so on and so on and so on. Apart from next Friday, where we're taking a break because we're in Europe getting some sun.